I will call this regular meeting of the Darien Operations Planning Committee to order for November 18th, 2025. It is 4:02 p.m. Thank you all for coming. I will go ahead and kick us off. First of all, welcome to our newest member and congratulations on being elected chair of the Darien Board of Education. Robin Nelson, welcome.
Thank you.
Hello, Robin.
Hello.
Anyway, nice to have you, and good luck in the many happy duties in that wonderful job. So
thank you.
Okay, a couple things from me. First of all, thanks to all the voters, but all the folks who volunteered to support the election efforts on Tuesday, November 4th. We had a turnout that was actually about similar to 2 years ago, which is great, especially considering we had uncontested elections this time around. But I did want to just reiterate my appreciation to everybody who helped make that day possible, from our registrars to everybody on down the line. It really works when that whole team comes together, and my understanding was a pretty flawless day. So thank you to everybody who did that. As you all know, we have Housing Bill 8002, which is a replacement for the Housing Bill 5002 that the governor vetoed in the summertime. This new legislation is a bit watered down from the one before, but I and certainly others will have a lot more to say about that once the dust settles and we've got clarity on the specific provisions as well as implications for our town and for our residents, but lots more to come on that for sure. On Saturday, November 8th, I attended a fundraiser for At Home Darien, which was a pickleball event at Pickleball America over at Stanford. I played my first game of pickleball at that event. There was no ambulance or orthopedic surgeon required, so I was quite happy about that. But that is a very fun sport, and I can understand why everybody enjoys it. But congratulations to Chris Jones and everybody who worked hard to make that event come together. It was fun. That night, I attended a fundraising dinner for a group called Pivot Ministries, which specializes in helping folks with addiction trouble for drugs and alcohol. They're based up in Bridgeport, and I had a chance to interact with a number of participants and alumni of that organization. They really are doing God's work to try to help address what is a scourge in many communities, and it was gratifying to see the energy around that event and the desire to help a lot of other folks. Anybody who's commuting out of the Darien train station has probably noticed that the east platforms for the New Haven bound line or New Haven bound trains finally opened yesterday. I have done a video about that explains kind of where we are with that construction project, which I'm hoping that we'll post either today or late today or sometime tomorrow. But please take a look at that video. I explain where things are and what to expect in terms of further progress. But they are definitely making good progress, and it was great to see that section of the track opened up. So that is all that I have on my list today. Does anybody have any questions for me?
John, does the new housing bill replace 830G, or is it in addition to?
It's in addition to. 830G was a statute that was passed in the early 1990s, and it's what they call an affordable housing appeal law, and it specifically empowers developers who are building affordable housing to overcome Planning and Zoning Commission resistance in certain cases if certain criteria are met. This new housing bill does other things in terms of putting requirements or restrictions on towns in terms of what they can and must permit and the things they cannot not permit. So it's a different piece of legislation, and I would say it's additive.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
The only thing I saw in that bill, or an outline of it, was that there was at least a little step back as far as managing affordable housing more on a regional basis than on an individual town basis.
Yeah, the big changes are that the housing targets are going to be set at a regional level in what are called the councils of government. There are 9 of them in the state of Connecticut. Darien is part of what's called West Cog, and the COGs are going to be responsible for pulling together a housing plan for the region and then allocating elements of that plan to each of the towns. I'll be attending a COG meeting on Thursday, And we'll certainly learn a lot more in that meeting from our executive director there, who's going to be responsible for our COGS responsibilities under that law. So I'll have certainly more clarity at that meeting. Okay. Nothing else. Next up, for her debut performance, which will be sparkling, mind you, the new chair of the Board of Education, Robin Nelson. Robin.
Hi, and thank you so much for being able to join this. I wanted to also welcome our new Board of Ed members, Bill Vredenberg and John Dunn, and then also the new officers of the Board of Ed, Greg Grambling as vice chair and Katie Lublin as secretary. So in terms of updates since the last meeting, which I believe Jill had given about a month ago, since then, the Board of Ed, as you all know, unanimously appointed Dr. Eric Byrne as our permanent superintendent, which he had accepted our offer instead of continuing the rest of our search process, because after 4 months of working really closely with him and seeing him in action on the job, everyone on the board was of the mindset that this was exactly the profile of a superintendent that our community needed. So we're really excited to have him and his leadership with our schools. In addition to that, we also approved the DEA teacher union contract, and that is set to have potentially the RTM vote on December 8th at the RTM meeting. It was done in record time without a need for a mediator, and because of our administrative team's work and Dr. Byrne, it went very expeditiously, and they were very creative in how they did it, and we resulted in a contract over the next 3 years, which I think will be very advantageous to our budget and help smooth it out and be more predictable going forward. And we're talking more about that tonight with RTM, F&B, and education committees. Dr. Byrne also has a new budget process in place, which is what he has done in his previous district in Rye, which is more of a high-level strategic kind of coherent budget, which is aligned more with our strategic goals and with a view toward fiscal responsibility, because in Rye, he was subject to the New York 2% budget cap and also owned all of his capital in addition to that and the debt. So he is very accustomed to working in a fiscally responsible manner, and we're looking forward to the budget process as he is kind of rolling it out. In addition to that, he met with many of the town bodies and the different chairs of committees to kind of help people understand how it would be different. And it was well received. So we're looking forward to that. He also gave the budget forecast in our most recent meeting. It currently is forecast to be about a 4% budget increase, which is going on last year's enrollment, which was basically -1 net, but we're going to get the updated enrollment forecast in our Board of Ed meeting next week. And in addition to that, we have the 5-year capital forecast, excluding Middlesex, because we will get the architect's proposals also in our Board of Ed meeting next Tuesday. So pending the architect's recommendations, the capital budget is viewable in the Board of Ed documents, and then we'll have more updates on what we'll be doing with Middlesex. In terms of financial report, we currently have a surplus over $400,000, largely due to a $40 million state excess cost reimbursement for fiscal year 26. And again, we have volatility sometimes in our budget because of the special education needs, which can be unpredictable. And the state reimbursement levels can also be unpredictable. But we're in good standing at this point currently in our fiscal year. HHR is going well, and there's a meeting with the building committee tomorrow night. And then also we had a preliminary meeting on the bus depot with Dr. Byrne and various, and with John and other town bodies to start discussing potential opportunities for a bus depot. So that's the update I have. Happy to take any questions.
Okay.
I noticed in the contract the offset in improving the healthcare costs versus the increase in the compensation. How that exactly nets out wasn't as clear in the executive summary. Maybe we could take a look at that.
Yes, I mean, they, in the more public documents, were not really highlighting the numbers on that as much because the healthcare structure that they have been able to get approved by the teacher union is advantageous to us, and we are the first in our DIRG to be able to move to a $3,000, $6,000 deductible. And the other aspect of it is that we will require pre-approval for prescription drugs for all new employees, which also will save money because the healthcare costs had been rising by a very dramatic
Yep.
amount. And this one piece of that contract helped us to provide the salary levels and the changes in the salary grid
Right.
counteracted by the healthcare savings that we will get over the next 3 years. The reason it was not more specifically highlighted was because that was more for strategic reasons with the teachers union members, because that obviously is not something that they would have been as excited about. But the rest of the benefits that they were receiving and the extended maternity leave, some of the professional development opportunities where they can earn credits to move up in steps on the salary grid. There are many different pieces that they really liked. And so we felt like it was a win-win. But the healthcare savings is the piece that really made it doable for us.
Right. So how that all nets out, I think, well, you'll have the thrill of meeting members of the Finance and Budget Committee. But they may want to work with you on how that nets out when we send out the summary, because I'm getting ahead of myself, but the budget, the contract is on the agenda for the State of the Town meeting.
Yes, it is.
That was set last night.
So just so you know, I have the numbers in front of me. The total 3-year wage increase is 13.95% with an average of 4.65% per year. The total 3-year anticipated insurance savings is $2.5 million.
Right.
Which in the aggregate, when you look at the dollar amounts, ended up netting it out to a level that was actually pretty advantageous to us in terms of the goals it's allowing us to receive as well. And Rich Rudel will be able to give further information tonight to education members that might have further questions.
That's great.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for Robin? Anything else? Okay, next up, Mr. Payne, Chairman, Board of Finance.
Hey, John, thanks. Well, so we have our next meeting tonight at 7:30 at Town Hall. And first item on the agenda will be elect new officers. So I'm chair for at least a few more hours, I would say. Other than that, I think our meeting tonight is going to be a relatively light calendar. Besides electing officers, we are going through our 2026 calendar and going to work with Robin and yourself and others to make sure that calendar sort of threads in with you all as relates to your budget process. So we'll have that wrapped up tonight. And if we need to make any changes to that, we can certainly work with you guys on that. Other things, Robin mentioned like the Board of Ed and the union had agreed to the revised 3-year contract. While the Board of Finance does not actually vote on that, we will discuss that briefly tonight and possibly take action on recommending that be approved by the RTM. And then, otherwise our agenda has been relatively light here on the Board of Finance side. We are anxiously awaiting all the details behind the budget process as that begins to kind of ramp up in December and into January and February.
Any questions for Jim? Okay. Next up, Jeremy, sitting in for P&Z Chair Steve Mulvaney.
Sure. Just a quick report. As John referenced earlier, House Bill 8002 passed, and it's probably going to take a month or so for us to figure out all the details. And we're already hearing rumors that things need to be corrected going forward, and some things aren't compliant, but that's what happens when you rush things through. But there will certainly be ramifications for every town in the state. and we'll be working closely with Wes Cog and taking it from there, really. As you mentioned, 'tis the season for boards to reelect. And in this case, Steve Olvani was reelected chairman last week, Adam Balgash vice chairman, Jamie Zionik secretary, and George Riley will continue to serve on the Blight Committee. I've already reached out to Steve now that he's continuing as chairman about the State of the Town address, which I guess is in about 10 days, 2 weeks, John. So we'll have to coordinate. Steve wants to make sure we don't overlap, but we want to present all the information. So we'll sit down next week and talk about that a little bit more. The next meeting on the town plan is December 2nd. It's a special meeting that the commission's having to keep momentum going. So all are invited on that, and that should be at 7 p.m. Nothing else to report. Looked at what Steve reported last month, and all that's continuing on.
The one thing I would say on just planning and zoning, I went to a grand opening this past weekend for Raphael's Bakery.
Else.
It's over in Heights Crossing. Lots of new places have opened up over there. Garden Catering is also open. I drove by and thought it was a catering place. I was wrong. They actually serve
Chicken nuggets.
Apparently, it is the place for teenagers who want chicken nuggets, and this is it. So I have not been there yet. I might go there once. I'm not sure it's perfect food for somebody my age, but I could be convinced otherwise. We'll see. But lots of new businesses in town, and certainly more to come with Corbin and other places under development. So
yes, there'll be a lot more ribbon cuttings, John.
There will be. Scissors are being sharpened. Okay, RTM, Mr. Seth Morton.
Well, busy for the RTM these days. We get a whole bunch of stuff all compacted together because of the election. Half of the RTM is up for election every year, which produces some changes in the districts and also in the standing committees. So we had our annual meeting, and the annual meeting is a time when the districts get together and elect their officers and also elect the members of the Rules Committee. That enables the Rules Committee to meet, which we did last night, to set the agenda for the State of the Town meeting. We also have an informal meeting, it's not warned, an organizational meeting next Monday where the different standing committees meet and elect their officers and also set up their calendars. The Rules Committee met last night to assign people to the standing committees. We go through every standing committee and look at the membership and add new people as they arrive and move people around as they request. So the constitution of the standing committees changes a little bit. We were also visited last night by the first selectman. Thank you. A great discussion. And the only other thing is we set the agenda, the Rules Committee set the agenda last night for the State of the Town meeting. The State of the Town meeting will include nominating a representative of the Pear Tree Point Building Committee and approving and not rejecting the Board of Education Darien Education Association contract. And then State of the Town presentations. We have the first selectman leading off, and then the chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission, chair of the Board of Education, and the chair of the Board of Finance. So busy, a lot of activity going on. And our first business meeting kicks off in January. That's about it.
Terrific. Any questions for Seth?
Seth, is the chairman of the Board of Finance going to go last again?
What we understood that the chairman of the Board of Finance enjoyed being last. So yes, we have put the chairman of the Board of Finance last.
Okay. Just want to make sure we're being consistent.
Yeah, it just gives the other three boards a chance to work in his talking points, so his entire speech is redundant. It's good sport.
Right. And we understand that.
Okay.
Okay. If nothing else for Seth, then since Tracy's not here, last up, but certainly not least, Chairman of Parks and Recreation, Lori Bora.
Thank you. I will say my incoming adult children are most excited about the chicken nuggets. So
Yes,
they're,
everybody under 30, very excited.
oh, they're over 30 and they're still very excited.
Oh,
Biggest news, I guess, is that the Pear Tree renovation project has, the construction has started. So we are off and running. The building committee is going to have its preliminary meeting tomorrow night. It'll be a virtual meeting to elect chair, vice chair if needed, et cetera. But meanwhile, Jen Fava, with support of Dan Biggs, have been working with a construction company to get things off and running. I haven't been over there since yesterday, but my understanding is they were starting on the boat ramp yesterday. So that after many, many years of work is finally happening. So that is great news. Also, the department issued the RFPs for dredging of both Tilly Pond Parks Pond and Terry Lawns Pond, which have needed to be done for quite a while. The bid documents were in the paper and are due on December 4th. So our intent is to get those accomplished over the winter so that the parks are looking good by next summer. The commission is currently working with Jen Fava on the budget. We meet tomorrow night to have a discussion on the budget and her proposals. We won't vote until December, which I know is a little late, but sort of the cadence we worked through. And, Jen's talked about finding ways to accelerate that for next year. Last year was Jen's first year. This year she had the additional challenge of the youth department's budget being folded into Park and Rec and having to work through that as well. So the budget apples to apples isn't going to be quite the same for us to look at this year. But my first look at the capital budget, it's fairly modest. There isn't any really gigantic things in there, at least at the moment that I've seen. We're going to take a look. The staff has recommended some changes to our rules document. We'll be discussing those tomorrow night. Nothing of significance. I think they're really either clarification or practices that weren't necessarily codified, but no big changes. Big changes there. Jen has been recruiting and interviewing for someone to. It's a new position to the department, but not to town hall. With the youth department being folded into Parks and Rec, she'll be hiring somebody who will be running the summer camp programs going forward. And then I think she's reworked the job description a little bit so that the individual can also pick up some other activities for the department. So she's been working on filling that. I think, as you all know, that position was vacant all summer, and the park staff with some support of some longtime, Darien folks who were able to step in and help had to run the summer camp programs. Additionally, unfortunately, Cassie Scholl, who was one of our program people and very creative in delivering nice town events, left the department last week. I think was her last week. So Jen now will also need to post and replace for that position. I think the posting is actually up. But so they're, at the moment, the department's running a little bit short on internal staffing. That being said, the department important town events are coming up that they'll be running. The tree lighting at the Darien Sports Shop is November 30th from 4:30 to 5:30. It's always a widely attended event. And then our old-fashioned holiday event at Tilly Pond Park is Saturday, December 6th between 2 and 5. And that's always very, very well attended. I think we often get well over 1,000 people, and the park is very full. So the department will be managing those couple of big events while shorthanded. So really shout out to everything that they do to provide nice holiday events for the town. I think that is it. Any questions?
Questions for Lori? All right. The last order of business is just to approve our minutes from the October 21st meeting. I've looked through them. Does anybody have any edits or changes? Seeing none, could I get a motion to approve the minutes from October 21st?
So moved.
Seth moves, Lori seconds, all in favor? Okay, minutes passed. Terrific. I believe that's it for today. Our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, December 16th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Thank you all for joining. Could I get a motion to adjourn? Jim
So
moves.
moved.
Seth seconds. All in favor? We stand adjourned. Thank you, friends.
Thanks, guys.